Thank you for joining us. We begin this news hour with breaking news out of Iraq, where at least 55 people have died after a ferry capsized in the northern city of Mosul. Around 200 people were on board the vessel on the Tigris River. They were celebrating the Persian New Year holiday of Nowruz. Rescuers have pulled dozens of survivors from the water. Let's get the latest from Al Jazeera's Natasha Ghoneim in Baghdad for us. Natasha, what more are we learning about the circumstances of this accident?
Foley, the Ministry of Interior is saying that it appears that the cause of this ferry accident may have been because it was operating at a beyond capacity, beyond the recommended maximum capacity. This was a national holiday. It was a day that many people hoped to spend at a theme park, and yet it has turned into a day of misery for dozens of Iraqis who have seen their fair share of it. People will recall that Mosul factored in pretty greatly during the battle to defeat ISIL. Much of the city was devastated. This happened at a theme park in that northern city. There is a ferry along the banks of the Tigris, and about 200 people, we understand, were on board that ferry. At about 4 o'clock, it capsized, and we have seen videos on social media that are very distressing. You can hear the sounds of people screaming. You see a few people jumping into the water in an attempt to rescue people. You see a handful of others swimming furiously against what is clearly a very swift current along the Tigris. Recently it rained, so the level of the river is even higher than normal. You can also see what appears to be the ferry completely upside down. The numbers will likely continue to evolve as the night goes on, but from what we have right now, the Ministry of Interior is saying 65 people have died. Most of them are women and children. There is a rescue operation underway, and so far 30 people have been rescued.
Yeah, the pictures are pretty dramatic, the ones we're looking at right now, Natasha. Do these accidents happen often? I mean, there seems to be an issue here with overloading. What is the safety record of ferries used for public transportation in Iraq?
Well, I've spoken to our two very seasoned producers here in the Baghdad Bureau, and as far as this country is concerned, they're saying that this is unprecedented. They cannot recall a time when there was a ferry accident of this magnitude. Again, we are talking about up to 200 people expected to be on board that ferry. The Ministry of Interior, a spokesman with the Ministry of Interior, has offered condolences, said that more details are forthcoming and that the government will be doing its best to get to the bottom of exactly what happened. Bear in mind that people in Mosul are already living in such difficult circumstances. We were there several weeks ago. The western portion of Mosul, so much of it is devastated. People living in the rubble, people living with no services and scraping by in terms of food and water, relying on charity. So again, this is truly an additional tragedy for people who have already suffered so much.
Natasha Ghoneim in Baghdad, thank you very much for that update. We'll check in with you again later for this breaking news story out of Iraq.